I don't know if you guys knew about it, there's an Easter egg hunt. I mean, it's not just for kids. You actually collect rose quartz, clear quartz, and an agate, though, for $3. Be your tour guide. Who's been here before? Yeah, a few of you guys. All right, y'all look good. Take as many pictures as you want. We're going to stay on the trails the whole time. We have a couple extra things for the holidays. So, of course, the bags we already talked about. But then there's also a bunch of glowing eggs in one part of the cave. All right, let's go. Watch your step here as you come down the ramp. All right, here's the camera. Oh yeah, we could do like if you put one, you step over here just a little bit. Yeah, then you put one foot here. Yeah, and then you go. There you go. Yay. Okay, look here. I know, I'll be turning on lights though, honey. Don't worry. Okay, come up a little bit closer. We're gonna do a little story time. Okay, so I want to share a story with you all on how this cave was discovered. We're going to go back to August 4th, 1939. It was a warm summer day, and they had 3 workers come out here. They were doing routine quarry blasting, and in case you don't know what that means, they would literally stick dynamite into the rocks here, and then they would blast all this rock out. This rock is called limestone. And limestone is a great rock for roads and buildings, right? And that's what they were working on that day. They were making the roads. They were making gravel, like little rocks, and building out roads. However, when the dust settled, they saw this big hole that's right above our head. We just built a gift shop on top of it. But you can see from that end all the way down here. Or there's another picture. If you guys walk by the sign, you can see another picture of what the hole looked like. So they basically blasted a big hole into the cave. But they still didn't know it was a cave, right? They were just like, what is this hole doing here? So they went in. Now imagine they were literally just throwing ropes down into this hole, and then they propelled themselves, or repelled. Yeah, repelled? Yeah, not propelled, okay. Propelled down into the hole, and this is what they saw. A cave! Can you imagine? I love this first view of the cave. So you guys like taking pictures? This is a cool view of the cave. But they looked out into that in complete amazement that they had just discovered a cave. The ones that came tight to the ceiling. Then we have the stalagmites that might reach. So yeah, so that's the story. They found this cave by mistake. Pretty cool, huh? Any questions? You guys ready? No? You ready? Okay, good. Let's go. No, that's the lower level. We're going to be down there later, but I'll have lots of lights on. Oh, look how close we're getting to the cave. Remember that our hands are stuff. Look at how tall this one is. Wow. It is kind of, well, it's more like, it's mud, rock.
Yeah.
I know. Well, no, we place them gently. Because if we go in the lights pop out of them, I thought about that.
Wow, there's eggs over here too.
Sorry. Pictures for our social media. Okay, come closer. Come on. If I can have you guys over here, that'd be great. Yeah, we're gonna come down there. I'm gonna turn on all the lights though. Alrighty, so we have reached the southernmost point of our cave. To give you a reference point, that's the direction of where the parking lot is. So that's where we are underground. And if you happen to notice, there was a tree stump with a big informational sign. You happen to notice that right up here is directly underneath that. So that's where we are. And this is actually the other side of an inactive sinkhole. So this is what they look like on the other side, if you ever wanted to know. But these are inactive. So I'd like to say that a couple times when we're down here. These are inactive sinkholes. Now the story behind all these rocks stacked up here. Right up here is the beginning of a tunnel. Back in the 70s, they started digging out that tunnel in hopes to find more cave. So they pulled out all these rocks and stacked them up here. They got back about 80 feet, but then it started collapsing in on them because there isn't any more cave. We do know now that this is the end of the cave. Still have lots more to see, but just know that this was a fruitless effort. Nothing came of it except what we see here today.
Nice. She was like, no. No, she's not been here. She knows she doesn't. She goes to the party days, you know. It's like fashion.
Getting there will be. Getting there will
A lot of eggs. Mm-hmm. I guess that was a lot. Our house is about 30 feet off feet. Yeah. I know. Water down there? Yeah. Oh, it's like the curtainy.
Anybody notice we are actually standing above this area when we started, you guys, right? You guys see that? This was the platform where we started. So we just did the first loop of the cave. The path of the cave is kind of like a figure 8, so we're always going to be pretty close to this entry-exit point because this was a closed cave, right? So that's why they did not find any bears or bats or snakes, and we still don't to this day. Yes. No, but before that day on August 4th, 1939, this cave had never seen the light of day because, again, closed cave system. So we can't technically call it that anymore because they blasted that big hole in it. But just remember, we're going to talk about that later. This was a closed cave. All right, next we're going to head into the north cave. This is the largest room of the cave. And then we have your second pickup point. Here's the second pickup point, so if you guys have the bag, please come over. Here. Thank you. All right, yeah, take one. We got a lot of different colors here. So find a color you like. I need to refill that. It looks like it's getting kind of low. After you picked it up, you guys can come over here. Oh, that's so pretty. Ooh, I love it. Okay, and then everybody try to find a spot where you can look in that corner. We got a lot of cool things happening over here. It's hard to pick so many pretty colors. Some of these are dyed agates. There can be a mix of other things, but that actually kind of looks like maybe jasper. But some of them are dyed. Dyed? Like, yeah, that looks very natural. We have a really beautiful feature over here to check out. I can point to some things. This is a great example of what we call flowstone. So that kind of looks like cascading water, or sometimes I imagine a really fun slide. Yeah, if you guys want to walk back over there and see it more, because there's going to be like points that I want you to be able to see all the way into the corner, so you guys can see the corner here. Thank you. So over here in the corner, we have different shapes. Look at these. Right? These look so much different, right? Usually they're coming straight down like these pointy stalactites, but they can also take on that shape. Now we call these ribbon stalactite, where they kind of have that flowy ribbon look. There's also a funny breakfast food. Anybody heard of this? Do you guys think those look like strips of bacon? Yes, they call that cave bacon. Apparently it's a universal term. If you go to any other cave and you ask if they have cave bacon, they'll probably know what you're talking about. And there it is. We also like to use our imagination down here. So just like when you're looking up in the clouds, you see different shapes. Well, we feel like we can do that too. There's Sally the seal. Do you see her? She's resting her head on the rock. There's Sally. And we also have a cave snake. Here's the long tongue. Here's the head. Even looks like there's an eyeball. And then it goes all the way back. I know. Yes? No, it's not a fossil. And yes, I've been asked.
What is that?
That's just our imagination. Some people think that looks like a giant snake up here. All right, so I want to go back to these big cracks in the ceiling. We talked about this briefly. These are the first part of the cave forming, right? So they call them lifelines, backbone fissures. The thing about them, though, is that there's only one per cave system. So now let's look back over here. There's the big hole they blasted, right? Here's the first fissure line I pointed out. So watch how this one goes, and goes, and goes, and then boom. It runs into this one, but they're not connected. So two fissures means two caves. Yeah, these are two separate caves at one point. So however you want to look at it, it either begins or ends over in this corner. And now we're going to start following this fissure, and when we go up those steps, we're going to be in a different cave system. So these are actually two separate caves at one point. All right. Welcome to the painted waterfall and our reflecting pool. Here at the waterfall, we get to see all three of the minerals. So see how those three different colors you're seeing are representing different minerals. So when the water comes in here, it leaves behind little traces of minerals and it just builds up over time. And right here is calcite. So that one's all over our cave, right? Calcite's the main one. Then this bluish gray, that one's manganese. And then the reddish brown. This one's a little more common. Anybody want to guess what they think that one is? Iron, yep. Iron oxide, or as we commonly know it as rust. So that's just like the rusty part of our cave. So those are the three minerals that are representing the colors here. Then we also get to see big domes in the ceiling. This is from sulfuric acid bubbling up in the water and creating big domes. Yeah, I know a lot of kids say eyeballs. I see that too. Well, one's bigger than the other one. So. I see faces in the rocks though a lot too.
Maybe one of the eyes are opening up a little wider.
There you go. Okay, I like that. Okay, so we also get to see cave coral for the first time. So now this isn't like the coral reef that you might have read or learned about that's alive in the sea. This is just an extension of the limestone, right? But this part was just submerged under this very acidic water, so it just changes the way it looks. This is what we call the beauty room. So we're now looking into the cave, right? We're in a man-made tunnel that they literally digged out right next to the cave. Right, so look at both sides, please take turns, it's really beautiful. So if you guys didn't catch that, we're now in a tunnel. We're not in a cave anymore. And welcome to the beauty rooms. So everybody take turns and look at both sides. And after you've seen both sides, you are welcome to go around that corner, but please make sure you look at both sides. I think it's beautiful and worth looking at. Yeah, when you guys are all ready, you maybe can wait for the fam, and then you guys are welcome to go around that corner. Around the corner, look for the surprise cave and drain river. It goes into the cave just that. We don't see it all though, because the cave just gets more and more narrow as it starts to end. But it's still 250 more feet to the cave stop. So yeah, quite a bit more until it just.
That red stuff looks like blood.
Yeah, well, iron oxide, it is very similar. I mean, it does kind of look like blood, or like blood. Yeah, sort of river channels. Yeah, you can see it over here too. That's the iron. So we have iron in our blood too. Wow. All right, isn't that pretty? That's called Dream River.
What's that thing that looks like a little bump?
All those bumps on this side, like that, that's more of the cave coral. All right, so I hope everybody heard and understands we're in a tunnel, right? Ever get that part?
Yeah.
And as they were literally carving around the corner with hand tools, like look at all these slash marks. They didn't want to use dynamite this close to the cave. They were literally just chipping away at this rock. So it took about 15 years to do these tunnels. But as they came around the corner, surprise! We found another cave. So they call it the surprise cave. But it does have a fissure line right up here. So this tells us this is a separate cave. So it's actually the third one we saw today. We just can't get into that one, but, or maybe some of us can. You ready? And then down there is my favorite view. That's, or one of them. That's Dream River. It still goes back 250 more feet, and then the cave just stops. And that's looking out into the end. Okay, so we're gonna do a little light and dark show. So please stay where you are. Yeah, soak that view in. It's such a cool view. And we also call right above your head, we call that the Eiffel Dome, because if you look up, you get an Eiffel Dome. Yeah. There's a lot of drips right there. That's the Eiffel Dome. Okay, so if you guys could all just stay where you are, I'm going to turn on some special lights. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ooh, ah. This is called, does actually anyone know what this is called? What kind of light this is?
You guys know?
Purple light?
No.
Yep, ultraviolet, UV, or black light. There's 3 different names people call this. I think it looks more purple though. So UV light or ultraviolet is just a different spectrum of light, right? Most of us see the colors of the rainbow, but then there is violet that's so violet they call it ultraviolet, and it's just way on the other side of the spectrum. And when you shine it on calcite, this is what happens. It makes it fluoresce. There's only about 15% of minerals in the entire world that get to do what we're seeing right here. So this is pretty cool to be able to see it. Yeah, so it looks really cool under pictures too. I wouldn't use a flash, but flash is okay if you do use it. I just think it looks better without flash. However, when we are now putting all this energy into those minerals, the one way I like to describe it is it's like a dance party. All the electrons in there are getting so excited that they actually can emit this light back. And that's what we see with our eyes, right? Okay, now I'm going to turn on the main lights in 3, 2, 1. Okay, that was total darkness and phosphorescence. If anybody wants to look at anything one more time, then we're going to head to the high tunnel. Cool. Here's another photo op. Anybody? Alright, let's take your picture. That's such a cool spot too. Alright, what do you guys say? Let's take a picture. I know. You guys will appreciate this when you're older. Yeah. All right, as you guys, just wait for me in that room around the corner. I'll get back up in the front. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna get back up to the front. Okay, is everybody out of the tunnel? Okay. All right, let's go this way. We'll make our way out of the cave.
Alright, I'm back out to the car. That was a good tour. Yeah, I think it was just almost with tax and everything, it was almost $30. So it's something to see if you guys come out here. Cave of the Mounds. We're in the driftless area where I always seem to find myself, but yeah, I'd recommend it. So check it out. Hope you enjoyed that.